look at the political events that have been unfolding in this country for maybe a couple of days in particular, especially if you look at it from what happened last week, the coalition coming together to say, look, there's no better time to form some sort of alliance, politically speaking, against the APC government led by President Bola Tinubu to unseat him in 2027. As a matter of fact, as it stands today, it will appear that it is the APC versus the ADC already, even though within the fold of the coalition itself, you're still having so much of back and forth, not so much of clarity in terms of leadership structure and other very fundamental elements like who becomes ultimately, all else equal, the flag bearer of the coalition. There are still those, we understand, who are saying within the coalition that, look, we are better off registering a new party rather than using the ADC as a special purpose vehicle. But as it stands today, it will appear the ADC for many of those notable politicians within this coalition has come to stay. Well, we're going to talk about all that, and ultimately we would also nosedive this conversation into the subnational level, where Edo State in particular will be in focus as we tail out. Incidentally, my guest this morning is somebody whose background cuts across the civil society space. As a politician, as a matter of fact, he has been a local government chairman in Edo State, in particular of Southwest local government. He has had his own fair share of playing the opposition, especially following the last election in Edo State that produced Governor Senator Monday Okpebolo. He's a member of the People's Democratic Party, so that gives you an insight into his brand of opposition. But again, the PDP has a huge question mark over his head now, given the coalition element that is quite becoming forceful in the narrative of Nigerian politics. Comrade Honorable Destiny Enabule, I'd like to call him this morning in the program. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Same here, my brother. Nice to see you again.
Right, second time around, they say. So let's begin with, of course, you are not ignorant of one of the things that have been happening in this country. The coalition now. You are also a living witness to the coalition that produced the APC about a decade ago. Do you quite frankly think this is history repeating itself?
Well, let me start this morning because in your intro, you said the election that produced Senator Modi Okpebolo. The election did not produce Senator Modi Okpebolo.
But is the governor by law?
It's before the law. So we are hoping and then we are waiting for the Supreme Court.
Okay. Then. So, until then, he's the governor.
So until then,
he's the governor.
He's the next governor, next elected governor.
Well,
with utmost humility.
He's been governing Edo State now for the 8th month.
It does not represent the wish and aspiration of Edo.
I'm
happy you are from Edo.
We are going to expand on that as we make progress into this conversation.
For us, the issue beforehand, as around the coalition.
Right.
Thank God, you and I, we have seen or saw the 4 walls of the university. I remember those days, if you find yourself to have a difficulty in a particular, course, you call your friend and you see that it's a little bit, brighter than you, to have some kind of, group reading.
Right.
That does not mean that you are weak, because when your peers try to explain, you get it, easier rather than seeing, your lecturer. So what they are having, or we are having, because I belong to this other side.
The other side being the coalition.
Because I'm not of the APC. So I belong to this other side. So
the other side is the coalition. Let's be clear.
When I say I belong to this other side, yes, I'm not for the APC.
We need to put on record that you belong to the coalition.
No, I'm not yet a member of.
But you're tilting in favor of the coalition.
Definitely, because everywhere in Nigeria, I want to see this country, past this quagmire, politically, economically, socially, security-wise, and everything. Will definitely, tinker or reason the way of the African Development Congress, the ADC. So, to be very frank, so for us, we want a vehicle by way of movement that can put a stop to these dictatorial tendencies we have in this country. I was in a transit somewhere in Europe. I overheard some whites. They're discussing. The guy I was discussing should be of my age or close to. He said the father once, was one of the tidy affairs in one of these embassies during Abacha. You know what they use, describing us. That this present administration, in the person of the president, is trying to undo or to outsmart or to surpass Abacha. To me, it was a very sad commentary.
What is the context when you say undo or surpass Abacha?
If you look at what we're having, you know the I would like to say, applauding him for this present administration, the president of president. You see, he has exposed the deficiencies and the corruptness in every Nigerian. Judiciary, for instance, is no longer the law. With utmost humility. Perhaps you must have listened to, and I have listened to Dele Farotimi, and I had you saw the book that almost sparked some reactions. That is the level we are in. You see, when the judiciary is having a question mark, there is a problem for the ordinary Nigerian, for the ordinary persons. What you have now is based on what you can exchange for justice. It is quite sad. I don't know if you have been following. Let me quickly. You have been following the Edo State, election tribunal, for instance. You can see what they've been talking about. It's sad.
It's still a subject.
Yes, but you can see
we're trying to isolate this
conversation from the lowest court to the appeal. From you see, even from the appeal, the justices or the judges, even when they were coming out, I told someone, I said, these are guy men. Yeah, indeed. When they start, adumbrating, you see that indeed these were truly guy men. So they have desecrated the justice of temple. So there's a fundamental problem, and we must start to get it right.
Is that what this coalition will achieve?
Not only. It's across board. See, you've not been living in space. I know you too well. You've been in this country. I don't think you have any other passport of any other country apart from the Nigerian passport.
Sincere apologies for that glitch with our broadcast. There was occasioned by a technical challenge which has now been resolved. We appreciate your understanding. So my guest a while ago was trying to expand on the issue of the rationale, or if you like, the motivation behind this coalition, because a man like the Federal Capital Territory Minister, Nyesom Wike, has said that your people, those who are driving this coalition, are motivated by nothing other than selfish ambitions together. Don't you think that's exactly what it is?
See, I think I was trying to say something just now. You thought that maybe I was just speaking from the blue. You can see what just happened just now. Those are some of the indices of a failed state. South Africa of how many population, and Nigeria, what megawatts? Try and do your comparison. So that's to tell you, see, there are two things that is paramount in any sane government. Let me use the word sane government: security and welfare. As you speak very just now, you will agree with me that these two things, you know what that means. Do we have security? Do we have welfare?
So you're talking about power and security.
Is there power in this country? Is there security? Yes. Even in my very dear Edo State, for the last weekend, or this weekend, there has been a disturbing. I hope you are in tune with your people at home. There have been a disturbing occurrence almost every day, killing every day. I think it was here or one of the sister stations, and I told them, we'll go that later.
Right.
You see, the issue is this: the coalition is here to help us, remove this very photocopy government. Those days in school, the handout, it's not as potent as we mean.
Maybe a textbook.
A textbook. So, this photocopy government, with utmost humility, you see what is happening now. even in the seat of power, the primary school pupils, the children, the future of tomorrow, they are on strike. While the president is in, is it St. Lucia or something?
St. Lucia, right.
Because...
and then he intends to visit a
if
few other parts
he
of the
visited,
Caribbean.
and he was given scholarship. When even your seat of power, the children and the future of tomorrow, the children that will be there, that you will not pass to history, why you are no longer there, that will speak for us, why majority of us are gone. They are on strike for months, and you are doing Father Christmas elsewhere. Does that sound right? For me, I don't know. You see, I try to look at what is really our problem as a nation.
But the president, I mean, just for the benefit of our viewers, is not the minister of the FCT. Shouldn't we situate that in front of Mr. Yesom Wike? Who appoint
Wike? Wike is the present minister of FCT is not elected. He's appointed. The boss stops at the president's
So you're
table.
saying if he's not delivering on
You fire.
job, then
Although with utmost humility, this president, because because of where he's coming from, they said when a fraudster is a king, the kingdom becomes the rally point for fraudsters. With utmost humility.
But that's not to say, of course,
I'm not saying.
You can't call the president.
No, I'm not saying. What I'm trying.
Let's
I'm trying
establish
to.
that.
No,
there could be some better examples, but let's not miss the perspective. We're saying that, for example, because we're still with the coalition.
Yes.
We have people like David Mark, who had been Senate President between 2007 and
2015.
Military governor before that.
Yes.
All right. He had been a minister, even in military government, in the same country, for example. You have Aregbesola, former governor, two-time governor, we should say, states, of Osun State, and after that, Minister of Interior. You have Peter Obi, two-time governor of Anambra State, and presidential candidate of the Labour Party. And then you have people like Gabriel Susan, who has also been two-time governor in Benue State, as a matter of fact, a senator as well. So you have people along those lines. Atiku, former vice president for 8 years as well, as they call him, serial contender. Former national chairman of the ruling APC, former governor of Edo State. They are Nigerians, even those outside of politics and partisanship who say that. If these men could not deliver in their roles at those different times, what is now the guarantee that they can make a difference for the better in the name of a coalition?
You see, I'm a student of history. My first degree in international study and diplomacy. You see, when things are not working right the way it ought to be, in an attempt to get it right, those that are oppressed needs those that are in the aim of affairs to get it right.
Even when they too had bungled opportunities.
Definitely, you need them. You will need them in one way or the other.
For whatever it's worth.
Yes, to get it right. So for us, this coalition is timely. For me, I'm not disturbed about the coalition. What I'm disturbed is the synergy, the coming togetherness, the sincerity within these key players in carrying the ordinary people along to achieve the desired results. That is my nightmare.
Is there sincerity in this coalition?
We can't say now. I think it's too early in the day to begin to say whether or not.
I think we can say, and I'll tell you why.
We cannot.
I'll tell you why. The ADC is already balkanized as it stands right now, because there's a faction of the ADC that says that what David Mark and his quote-unquote boys have done so far is
the faction led by my friend Kachiku. Yeah, no, in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, he was suspended or expelled from the party. There is a correspondent to that effect. So for me, with utmost humility, is my friend. I think we've met one or twice or something like that. But you should just join and let, if perhaps, quote unquote, the leadership of the party, or maybe they are not, you should just let, what the paramount thing is for us to get this man out.
So we should overlook those in the ADC, apart from Kachiku, who are now saying that what David Mark and his people have done so far is a hostile takeover of the ADC.
It wasn't a hostile takeover. When you are talking about those, permit me, disgruntled as a result of this coalition, they are very minute. Majority, they say, will always have their way. Minority will always, have their say. While majority will always have their way. So for me, it's a minority. My friend is a minority. He's a minority. And I know his fears.
What are his fears?
And when you are, you are a superstar in your house, and you not see some other, some mighty superstars, you became jittery. You are not comfortable. You say, oh, they are battle. You understand? I know his fears, and I sympathize with him with utmost humility. So for us, and to the average Nigerian and Nigerians, ADC is the party to unseat this present, dictatorial government.
There's a concern, and I just want to help us pivot a little. We say the ADC, I mean, you say the ADC is the party.
Yes.
The PDP, I've spoken with a certain PDP chieftain here on 2 occasions about this issue, and he has told me consistently that the PDP, the organic PDP, I don't know what that means within the context of your party, is not disposed or favorably disposed to a coalition. So how is it that you have one faction of the PDP saying, we love the coalition, we're going with the coalition. You have another faction saying otherwise. Is that not already a case of a house divided against itself?
There's equally the wicked factor.
And then the article factor.
Perhaps the fellow that you interview, I don't know which of the
factions
he belongs. You see, let me quickly say this. Can he be more Roman Catholic than the Pope? Please answer me.
I've never been a Catholic.
I've been a Catholic. There's no way you can be more Roman Catholic than the Pope. If you see, a person of David Mark, for instance, he has been a PDP from the year 1999, 1998 to be very precise. So what is talking about organic? I don't know. And there are many like David Mark, for instance. So for me, I understand. For me, I don't know which of the fashions he is, talking from. But I understand. There are many PDP that say, okay, we are PDP. We work for ADC. There's already a precedent by your FCT minister. So for us, and for some of us, so they will belong to the PDP. Can't carry a member of PDP, but they will work for ADC.
Are they working for ADC, or they're using ADC to work for themselves?
It's not everybody that will go to the ballot. It's not everybody that will be appointed if eventually they are able to unseat this government. It's not everybody. But to me, they are working for the party. It is when you are there in the ballot, you're working for yourself and working for your party. And in turn, working for the people. So for me, it's going to be a win-win-win for Nigerians. That is it. For me, I don't have any sleepless nights regarding. The only thing I have is that these key, drivers of this process should be sincere to themselves and to the Nigerians. That is just it. That is my only little worries, left, right, center.
Okay, let's talk about guarantees. I mean, this is not a financial transaction, but as is with the case in many things in life, there has to be a measure of certainty with every venture or initiative. What are the guarantees that this coalition will see the light of day? I'm going to create a context for the basis upon which I'm asking that question. Between 2013 and 2014, the Tinubu leadership was able to, if you like, come up with what you now call the amalgamation of several parties.
Yeah.
Exactly, giving birth to the All Progressives Congress. I've heard people from your coalition who say that, well, if Tinubu and his guys could pull it off a decade ago, who says you can't replicate that model today? But then times have changed. Political dynamics are not exactly the same thing. So talk to our viewers about guarantees.
You see, when you're talking about guarantee, I'm not a little bit comfortable because we are still at the embryo stage.
So nothing is certain?
Nothing is certain for now. But be rest assured that of a truth, with this crop of persons that are in saddle of betting this coalition, this amalgamation, be rest assured that to a certain percentage, Nigerians and average Nigerians will indeed, benefit from the security and the welfare, which is the primary concern of any single government. For me. So we need to, let's disabuse our mind of whatever will be giving us some doubt. For now, let's come up with open mind. That is me for you. For instance, until
when you say we, who are you speaking to directly?
Nigerians,
coalition members,
Nigerians, and the coalition, key drivers. You see, I said it in this platform some time ago. President Ahmed Bola Tinubu is a very, very smart man, and to do that, you know what that means. You know what that means. So for us, that's why some of us are not, comfortable with the style of leadership and governance, because it's not different from that of, with utmost humility, the late, General Sani Abacha. It's his style of governance, the style of presiding.
General Sani Abacha
was in khaki. The only difference is that was in khaki and this is in Agbada. With utmost humility.
There was another difference. Under President Bola Tinubu was saying a handful of by-elections, was saying local government polls, for example. Abacha was there for 5 whole years, 1993 to 1998. Not a single election was conducted for apparent reasons. So,
no. You are missing it.
There's significant
difference. That is the style of military.
Which makes it different from democracy.
Definitely. If you look at what we have now, if you look at what we have now, I use, for instance, in FCT, in the seat of power, the primary school children, they've been on strike. And you want to tell me that that is a democrat or a democracy? You can see what is happening in the judiciary, for instance, which is now becoming, that has been commercialized with almost humility. Is it the security? I think it was credited to Abacha that if a crime or a crisis exceeds 24 hours, you know that government has a hand in it. You've seen the killings. I think we are even the face off between Israel and Iran the other time put together. Certain killings numbers a day was not up to the one we recorded a day in Benue.
But the killings didn't start with the Tinubu government now, did it? No.
But it's worse off now
than it was under Buhari for 8 years.
You see the problem we're having in this country. We play politics with everything. There are two things you as a sane government, please underline, as a sane government, that you don't need to play politics with. At least I have been at the very lower tier, preside over people. Two things: the education and the security of the people. You don't need to play politics with it. With utmost humility, you don't need to, because the education guarantees the future of which that nation will survive, and the security provide an environment for everybody to do his or her business. That's why my grandmother say, of blessed memory, he said, "Women, permit me to speak in my very rich language." He said, "What that means, literally, there's nothing meaningful in an atmosphere of rancor. When there are crisis or there are war or disturbance, the pastor or imam cannot go to their place of worship. Our mothers cannot go to market to trade. So if you play politics with security, you're doing yourself unknowingly. And over time, as a nation, we have been playing politics with security and our education. That is why I should speak very just now. No Nigerian, university or as a whole is tailored towards production and manufacturing. I don't know. Maybe I've been living in space. In space. Tell me, what do we have to show over time? It is what we inherited from the colonial master. Education to interpret their language, which is English, on their behalf, and administer the interior. So for me, I don't know. I think anything different since the exit of the colonial master in our educational, curriculum. It's not tailored towards production, manufacturing. You heard in the last pandemic, we were getting Senegal, blah 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 from vaccines left and right. On our own, we were unable to come up with something. And we said we are a nation.
But Nigeria was not the only country constrained in that regard at that time. Many other countries where America was essentially calling the shots. There may be a bit of Europe as well. So was it peculiar to Nigeria? I'm sure the answer is no.
At times, I'm not comfortable when we try to juxtapose or trying to look at it from that perspective.
There are even some advanced, developed countries were constrained.
In terms of population, so we are not maximizing our population. That is the problem we have. China, for instance, they know what they have, and they are looking at it in terms of population and maximize. See, we must go to the drawing board from the very kindergarten to begin to tailor our education towards production and manufacturing. I've seen some videos in the social media where you see the Chinese children, they are tailoring them towards manufacturing and production. But in Nigeria, they are tailoring our children towards kabashing, prayer warriors, fasting ministers, and so to speak, without permit me. So it is sad. We must look at it.
I don't know. I have a very strong nudging to talk to you a bit further about the coalition. People like Amechi, Amechi, well, Chibike Rotimi Amechi, former governor of River State, had
a former minister.
Yes, former minister as well. Had been
a speaker.
Yes, a man I'm very sure you are also comfortable with as a minister when he headed the transportation ministry, and especially when we're talking about the loans that were taken from the Chinese authorities to fund our railway projects here. But
to Maradi.
Yes, well, I'm sure all of that won't matter now because we're talking coalition. Again, that's how politics works, I'm sure. But more importantly, he was the chairman of the committee that recommended that a new party should be registered as against this coalition. So that's already suggestive of the reality that there are elements in this coalition who are not comfortable with the ADC idea. So how are you going to reconcile those people?
You see, when you see, I'm a very different person. I speak truth to power. Let me recall something. I was in primary 5. I remember those days. One of our school teacher, a lady, teaching us words and meaning.
Right.
So she used intruder. He said, for instance, if a man decides to marry a second wife, that the second wife is an intruder. And my mother happens to be a second wife. And when I got home, and I asked my father, I said, Daddy, why did you marry my mother as a second wife? She's an intruder. My dad was a little bit shocked. He called me and my elder brother and two of my half sisters. And he began to question me. So, for us, I speak truth to power. I ask you, I tell you, it's not as if some of us, yes, that's why I used the word. I said this present administration is a photocopy. You know what photocopy? If you decide to photocopy a textbook, it would have been as a textbook. This president is a photocopy of Buhari. With utmost humility. I will leave it at that of Amechi. You see, at times you need your enemy to achieve, to get the desired result. Oh yes. You see, at times your comfort limits your ability to move forward. I don't know if you are getting. That's why you see an averageable man, they are more industrious. They leave their comfort zone. I read somewhere jokingly that if you travel to any place and there is no Igbo man, you know that place is not productive. And it is the gospel truth. And they are the most chastised, ethnic group in this country. I don't want to, let's leave it at that. So that of Amechi, at times, you need your enemy to achieve the desired result.
Incidentally, there's something you call the spread, the national spread in politics.
Yes.
Especially as it has to do with electioneering.
Definitely.
And then the ballot proper. All right, because that's one of the very fundamental factors that determine outcome of elections. How does your coalition intend to push spread, especially in a place like the Southeast, where you already have established political parties with their governors being the de facto leaders of those parties?
Oh, yeah, let me set the record straight.
Please, by all means.
I am not a member of the coalition.
Well,
neither am I the spokesperson.
Yes.
With utmost humility.
But you've been
strongly. I am a member of those that want to put this country in a path of recovery.
And you want the coalition to succeed?
Definitely.
Good. Because
I believe that is the most viable alternative for now. So for me, I'm home and dry.
So why don't you think the PDP is the most viable alternative?
You know why? Let me quickly say something. My grandmother of blessed memory, you know why I'm always using my grandmother? When I lost my father in secondary school, then become of age, I stayed with my grandmother for about 9 years. From there, I went to the university. So she will always say then, she said, if a man in a community says that it is only him that has a sickness, a cure to a certain sickness, you know that is the cause of the sickness.
So he wants to monopolize the cure.
You see, Wike has virused PDP. And to some extent, to some of us that is looking at it from the outside, we believe that PDP is beyond redemption.
So why do we place that?
Even when I contested in the House of Assembly, in the course of trying to get the legitimate, candidate in Edo State, we went to the Supreme Court. There was the Wike faction. There was the former governor, Godwin Obaseki faction, of which we belong to the Obaseki faction. So we went to the Supreme Court. So we dissipate our energy and resources before facing, quote unquote, the well-known opposition or the enemy or enemies. I don't know if you. So a house divided against itself, it is difficult to stand.
So you pin that blame on Wike?
Yes. It's up to 90% of what befell or is befalling PDP is on. I put it on.
Wike is not from Edo.
Do you know? No, now it's a topic for another. Do you know the striking thing? UK used to be my kind of person. I look to it because they know how to use power for the right results. I remember, when I was in civil society, I was almost frequenting, visiting, Port Harcourt. He's doing this, he's doing that. But the situation where you now use your office to bully, to oppress, for me, I have a question, a kind of question mark.
But this same Wike was very instrumental in 2020 to the success of Obaseki. I mean, in his bids to return to Osadebe Avenue Government House for second term.
No doubt about that. No, I use the word, please, underline. I said, when you begin to use your power.
Well, there was a switch at some point.
To oppress,
right,
to intimidate, like what is happening in FCT, for instance. The issue has to have to do with the land grabbing, allegedly, left, right, center, to the sun, and marking houses or establishment, left, right, center. There are decent ways of doing things. That is why, for me, I'm not always, fervent about the destination. There is, fully well that a journey we have to take to that destination. It is the process, not the end result. So for the likes of Wike and the president, any which way, let me use in the Niger Delta, any which way, as far as the end result is for their benefit.
I'm not surprised that you're pinning this much blame on Wike. I mean, I've spoken to people who belong to.
Again, you talked about the spread.
The spread, yes.
I think for now, if you look at it to be very sincere, I think the key ethnic groups, they are adequately and sufficiently represented in ADC. You have Obi there, you have Atiku there, you have Aregbe Shola and many. You have Oyego in my state, for instance.
Aregbe Shola has been called a political failure, for example. How much of political value does he bring then?
How do you define failure?
They're rating him by his 8 years in Osun State as a governor. Or as he used to call it, the state of Osun.
A man that has been a governor, will you call that a failure? I don't know how you rate. I don't know how you define failure. A man that has been the number one, job of a state, and you are saying the man is a failure. I beg to differ.
But how well did he do that job? Is probably the most important question.
No, that is another question for another day. That you call him a failure, for me, I beg to differ. A man that could be a minister. And before he has worked with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Lagos State as a commissioner. How do you define failure?
So won't you say such a man has betrayed his benefactor, for example?
I don't know how you define,
because he worked against the APC, we understand, in Osun State in the last election.
You see, the problem is this. We have over time abused this betrayal.
So help us put it in context.
You see, I try to situate it. When it comes to politics, if, for instance, today you and I, we align in a particular, project, or policies, and tomorrow will fall apart. People will be seen as, okay, this guy has suddenly become, a betrayer. Even at times, some person refers to me as exactly as a betrayer.
Because you used to be in the APC.
I used to be in the APC.
And then you moved like the others.
Yeah, as we speak very just now, my first cousin, for instance, of which the mother and my father, same father, same mother, and the mother is my father's immediate younger sister, is the deputy governor. The one that orchestrated my removal from the house. So for me, when you say betrayal, I'm a little bit taken aback. When you look at, you see, at times we look at what is in the open. We cannot, you see, that before, for instance, you called me here because before now, it's not as if we just got to know in Abuja. There have been an history. Many of us, we don't know the history between Aregbe, Shola and Tinubu. Perhaps he must have done SYZ in the secret. That now, come to Him, come and be my commissioner. Or I will assist you to become the governor. You see, there are certain things. Like, now I'm using my case as a case study. Yeah, somebody is okay, assisted me to become, my brother. That's just on the surface. I have done quite novel and noble for the fellow. Unknown to the outside world. But very well. Very well. So for me, at times, when people say, Uyi is a betrayer, on my own, I think I upon myself to look at why. I try to look at the history. Okay, now they are here, and this is what the people are saying. What happened to between this distance? That's why I'm not always fervent about the destination. I look at the process, the journey,
and the pattern
that taken to that destination.
All right,
that is me for you.
We need to take a break at this point. There's a lot more I want to ask you about this coalition and the personalities that make up the coalition itself. We're taking a break, everyone. When we return, we'll talk about the factor of Atiku Abubakar, a man we understand is at the very heart. Maybe some people will say is the front and center of this coalition. All of that coming shortly. Stay with us. All right, let's wrap it up quickly so we can move on to talk about some national issues. Atiku Abubakar is a man who is not a stranger to the political arena. I mean, he has been here quite a number of times. When I say he has been here, I'm saying he has contested quite a number of times. But there are those who now say that, look, there's the possibility what Atiku Abubakar wants this time is not to become the president. Is to ensure that he makes his utmost contribution to ensuring President Bola Tinubu doesn't return to Aso Rock in 2027. Others say, well, as has always been the case, he wants to leverage these coalition as a special purpose vehicle to becoming the president, all else equal, even though there's also the argument of the North-South dichotomy of the 8-year rotational presidency and what have you. What are your thoughts in this regard?
Let me try to answer the issue raised. You see, with utmost humility, Atiku is not you use the word, the front, the middle, I don't know.
The front and center.
And the front and center. You see, he's not. He's only.
No, I just said some persons have described him as such.
He's only contributing. You see, there is this dilemma. I remember this, the chicken and the egg, which comes first.
Right.
There's this history dilemma. And I remember in one of my courses then. You see, it's another topic for another day. You see, the issue, Atiku has been there. Permit me, he's a true Democrat, to be very sincere.
Easy.
He's a true Democrat. Let us not, he's from the north and from the south. I've only met him once, by chance. So, what I am saying is this. If you look at what is before us, you remember, let me try to take you back. Proud to this, to this republic. Atiku once contested with MKO Abiola.
In 1993.
Definitely. Even when the issue of the 1998, 1999 that we are here today.
Right.
It was the most prominent because of his I don't know how to put it, is humane nature and his democrat nature. He allowed the process. He allowed the process by way of bringing in OBJ, Obasanjo, from the prison, and eventually he became, and he agreed to be the vice president. Even when, at the time, in the politics in the center, when some governor, he was in control on some governors, and he told them that, look, he came with this man, and he will allow this man to finish his constitutional requirement years, term of office. Perhaps we would have been saying all we are saying now. For me, it's not that desperate, to quote and unquote. You might be surprised with all these. You might be surprised tomorrow. You just say, okay, let me be at the background. Why? Let me see how you float this thing. So for me, till then, that's why I use the word the chicken and the egg dilemma. That's why I said it's a topic for another day. For me, just let the system flow. I wouldn't want us to cry more than the bereaved. So for me, Atiku is a sincere man. He's a Democrat. In all of this, he's a Democrat.
I'm shocked you would say that. Atiku has left the PDP more than once. Atiku in 2015, he's on record, said the PDP is dead. And then by 2019, returns to that party to clinch the ticket. He repeats that same feat in 2023. Are those attributes of a Democrat?
Let me quickly say this. There have been some persons that have likened, PDP ticket to be likened to a Zimbabwe dollar in this country.
So Atiku falls in that category?
No, I am not saying he falls in that category. Which one is more damning?
We don't have a scale to determine that.
But
how damning is Atiku's statement about the PDP?
If I decide to, it's okay, I'm with Uyi today, and I discover that there are certain things, okay, let me go back to the man behind the camera. There are certain things perhaps that wasn't very, palatable, that make me to shift my, will I call it allegiance?
Right.
And maybe in the course of me, interacting and all, balling together, I discovered that Uyi is more. There's a saying again in my very rich Benin language, according to my grandmother. Until a woman's married two husbands, you will know the one that is more suitable for her.
But Atiku seems to have married more than two husbands, to use the words.
For me,
right.
I will zero it at two, for the purpose of understanding.
And then remove the other women. Okay, that's on a lighter note. But let's wrap it up now so we can narrow down to sub-national issues. All right. It will appear the die is cast now. This coalition, whether it's here to stay or not, is already on the move. But how much work does it need to do? Because you have said here before today that President Bola Tinubu is not a joke when it comes to politics in this country. So that already suggests that the coalition has to be thinking on its feet. So talk to us about how much work this coalition would need to do.
They need a lot of work. Let me say this. My kind of person, when I'm approaching a task, I put it even when I know that, or maybe when I'm approaching you now, we want to embark on a physical combat. I know I can just I think someone told me jokingly.
Well, we apologize for that glitch with our transmission. As always, we appreciate your understanding. So my guest was talking a while ago about how much work this coalition will have to do to unseat all else equal President Tinubu in 2027.
Oh, yeah, you can see for a time or a period of how many hours?
Just say about an hour.
How many times have we experienced the glitch?
So again, the coalition wants to correct this.
So definitely, you see, even in the course of Jan, you know what happened
with the CBT.
Yes, that's a topic for another day. You see, for me, if I'm faced with a task, I don't see that task that with a wave of hand that the task is a lightweight. No, I see the task as a heavyweight. That will prepare me to have to go train more, go rehearse more, and face it head on. So when I'm done, people will say, yeah, this is excellent work. That's the way. And that's the way I will, beg, and appeal to to those in the driver's seat of ADC to seek Tinubu as a very heavyweight.
So they should not underrate the president and the APC.
Never. Even, you see, they said they know, they are aware. I'm happy Erufai is there. Both of them.
What's spectacular about him?
You know, he was Tinubu, proud to Tinubu emergence.
In
2023. So both of them know what they know.
Both of them know what
they know. So for me, they will not, they are aware. Because let me take you back. You know, before his emergence to become the president of this country, you knew what transpired in the presidency in Aso Rock.
I'm not aware of that.
Like the printing of the Naira. It wasn't done because they were more, innovative to come up with the painting. It was a ploy, deployed to undermine, to frustrate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You can take that to the bank. I'm telling you for free, because you say you're not aware. And there are so many,
And he surmounted that challenge.
And he surmounted the challenge. That's the point. That's exactly what I'm driving at. Even when there was a gang up with the likes of, Amechi and the former AG, what's his name? Malami. The president boys trying to, have a barrier to frustrate him from emerging from the party primaries. Equally, overpower. And today he's there. So for me, why he was not in power, quote, as in being the president, and now that he is the president, your guess is as good as mine.
All right. I'm sure, given the point at which you're living it right now, there's so much.
So they know, they are aware.
Right. I hope they put their best foot forward in this regard. We're going to take another quick break right now. When we return, things will cascade to the sub-national level to look at exactly what is happening in Edo State, South Nigeria, under the government of Senator Monday Okpebolo. We appreciate you, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Let's switch gears at this point and go to Edo State, where so much has been heard regarding the government of Senator Monday Okpebolo, a man who has been in office as the chief executive of the state on the 12th of November last year. His 8th month in office has just kicked in, and we need to quickly do an evaluation, or if you like, an assessment of what that government has been up to the entire time. Where did the governor pick up the state economically and across other sectors, and where exactly is the state at this point in time? So I'm going to turn to you again, Destiny, and talk about, of course, I'll be naive to expect it to be very dispassionate at this point. But for whatever it's worth, I will shoot my shot, as they say. You are a member of the opposition, so I don't expect you to come here, sing praise the governor, and give him a pat on the back. But I've spoken to people on the ground, not just on television, who say that, look, the governor may not have brought his best or his A game to the table, but he has been able to record some feats in certain areas. So talk to us about what the development is like in your own assessments.
You see, it is difficult for a man that have a saw in his leg to say, okay, let me apply the Nigerian way or the African way in treating by applying hot water. You won't get the best result. You see, you say you have, interviewed, you have interfaced. It would be more appropriate that you visit the scene to have a first-hand information. I'm a student of history. I lived in Edo State. I lived in my village. I was in my village about 3 days or 4 days ago. You see, when this, razzmatazz that people hear in Abuja, at times I'm taken aback. I told you something ago. I think I said it in this platform the last time I came, where you talked about the issue of the fight against cultism. You see, the path. I love using it. I said I love using it. You see, we shouldn't be fervent about the destination, knowing fully well there is a process.
That leads
it's
to
a
the
journey
destination.
will take you to that destination. I said when he started, fighting well-known opposition with his fight against cultism. As I speak, that, how will I put it? our policy or his fight against corruption is a complete failure. Just yesterday here, about 2 persons were killed in Edo State. Saturday, same thing. Friday, same thing. Thursday, about 5 days, counting. As in, there's no 3 days in between. You can put a call again to substantiate what I am telling you. I'm a player in it. So when they I don't know where they are getting what they are feeding you with. But for me, with utmost humility, it's not because I am an opposition. You know me very well. I'm a student of history and I'm from the civil society. I will tell you the way they are because it's my state. I don't have any other passport. I only have the Nigerian passport and it's here with me. So for me, I want everything to be well. I told you that about 3 days ago. I went to the market. What I saw, my brother, I almost shed tears. When I got home, I started respecting my wife. And indeed, she's trying. But she was under the weather. I said, okay, let me just, I went there. She said, okay. When I got home, I said, oh, she's trying. I started respecting her. Yeah, since he came to, office and all of that. Some persons, they have nicknamed him as a nest of king.
What does that mean?
When a man or a woman is alive, decide to have a nest of king. I said, and you have some wealth, left behind, some resources left behind. The nest of king will lavish it as if there's no tomorrow. Will squander it as if there's no tomorrow. Because he did not suffer or labor for it. Godwin Obaseki left some whooping amount in the coffers of the district.
I have read some people in your team say 50 billion, which the APC has.
I think it should be more than that. They are sitting in a super deck, in the IGRO, in the state this thing. Then there are some foreign currencies in two accounts.
Accessible to this government?
Definitely. In 2 accounts. Foreign currency in 2 accounts. And there are other billions in some other parastatal ministry. And here we are. He has applied to borrow 100 billion. I tell you, all he is doing is to buy cars, liabilities. I just got to know about...
You're talking about the Edo State deal with the First Bank with regards to infrastructure development.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But that's not categorically borrowing now. Because
they are borrowing for contractors.
It's a guarantee.
They are borrowing for contractors.
It's a guarantee that the government is giving on behalf of the contractors to execute the project through the bank.
Let us not go there. You see, the point is this. You can go and do further. I won't want to go into further analysis or interrogation. I don't know if you are aware that since the inception, all the government is doing is to buy liabilities.
For example,
they are buying Hilosys, Prado, LX 600. Do you know how much one LX ordinary without bulletproof? In the last 2 weeks, he has procured nothing less than 18 LX 600. One bulletproof and ordinary to a particular person. One bulletproof and ordinary to a particular person. Shared LX 600 as if it's a Corolla, regular Corolla they use for cab. That's the way. My brother. You can do further investigation, interrogation of what I'm telling you. Just last Saturday, there was a common entrance, for primary school, like living primary school, of which my son, participated. In the process, it was a show of shame. And there was a preparation. There was organization. It's sad that they have to now be moving in when it was raining heavily. They went to the school, a mark for the exam. They discovered that there was no seats. So they have to move them from one school to another location when it was raining heavily. And in the process, we learned that a particular people lost their life. So what are we saying? For me, when they are talking that, well, I don't know, maybe the flyover, but I tell you, yeah, the aesthetics and the beauty, whatever. You are an Edo person. In terms of road networks in West Africa, we are number one, we are top notch. Edo, the city, Benin City, Edo, we are top notch. You can't take that away from us. So for us, flyover should be after you must have, make all this, road network, accessible and motorable before you not be thinking of, coming up with flyover. That's because the former FCT was bragging with, 300 flyover in Port Harcourt. You want to see how you will be able to. For me, I don't join the bandwagon.
So you think that's misplaced?
It's a political project and it's a Hallelujah project. They are what we call the Hallelujah project.
So this is one of them.
It is one of them. And what permit me, it's another conduit pipe, what some of them will refer to as elephant projects. It's in court. It needs some finances.
This is a governor who has not even done a year in office. Are you, by these assessments, are you not using a sledgehammer to kill an ant?
I'm responding to the razzmatazz, to the modern life government that they are feeding you with. I don't know if you feel. So that is, I'm only responding that what they are telling you are not on ground. They are only there in the Nollywood.
But what do we tell people? What do we tell people who say, hold on a second, Obaseki was in office for, between 2016 and 2024. That's an entire 8-year period.
8 years, yeah.
Yet there was continuous flooding on the road that leads to the government house, right to the driveway into the government house. So is that not another bad example of leadership in Edo State?
You see, the point is this. You see the problem we are having. I haven't said that Obaseki is he was or he's a messiah. Don't misconstrue me. The point I'm driving is this. But again, you cannot take it away from Obaseki that indeed, in terms of governance, structure, to some extent, to a certain reasonable percentage, it did perfectly. For me, Obaseki decided to say, okay, this area I'm tackling. And he went head on in tackling it. There are so many infrastructure, for instance. Turning the system paperless, e-governance and what have you. Top notch in the country.
To the abandonment of road infrastructure?
To some extent, he tried to do road networks, internal networks. I'm not his spokesperson.
But you were a beneficiary of that government.
When you say beneficiary, I don't know. I'm lost at this point. Because I never worked with him directly.
But it was under that government you became a local government.
Definitely, I was a local government, and I did.
And we know as of today, there is no local government election that a sitting governor does not influence one way or another. So those who emerge as the flag bearers and eventually the chairman are direct or indirect beneficiaries of the governor.
All I know, in my own case, we went to the field.
With the support of the governor.
Yes.
And some people would even say the deputy governor in particular, who, of course, again, has now moved back to the APC, talking about Right Honorable Philip Shaibu.
That what?
That, well, the former deputy governor and the former governor Obaseki were your benefactors as far as that election was concerned. And as such, you owe it as a part of loyalty and allegiance to.
Let me ask you. You were in Edo State when a local government election was ongoing and they announced results.
I'm probably not so sure.
I wouldn't want to mention any. I remember it very vividly. I was in the civil society then, unlike us.
So you are saying yours was more transparent?
But yes, there was. I won't say more transparent. I think that's the right word. I'm not saying that it was perfect or it was fantastic, but there was a complete departure from the old order. So that was my point. Obaseki, he came, he did his best, but I was expecting, even when in his handover note, he advised that all they need to do now is to start desitting the gutters, the drainages. So for me, I am not saying that, but there is much to be done with this INEC selected governor in Edo State. Because it does not represent or reflect the wish and aspiration of the Edo people.
Let's talk about how opposition is going in Edo State right now. Because even though, I mean, you now look like a man with one leg in the PDP and the other leg in the ADC. But let's talk about.
I haven't said so.
No, I mean,
I'm still a card carrying member of PDP.
Yes, of course, they're working in the interest of the coalition.
For me, I have not started working for ADC. Just the point I'm saying is this: is that for everywhere, even including you, for everywhere in Nigeria that want us to leave this conundrum, this economic conundrum, political conundrum, security, bastardization and commercialization of our judiciary. The vehicle to hop in is ADC.
Okay.
To take us from this.
Just before that vehicle arrives, so let's talk about opposition.
That arrived.
Okay. Well, congratulations.
All we need to do is to see how we can make it work, so that it will not move and midway.
It should be a brand new vehicle. Why do we need to make it work? You need a driver for that.
You know the man. I said it. I said the man we have in the saddle of leadership.
Yes.
He's a very smart man.
So you need a utility vehicle.
It's very smart.
Not a saloon car.
So they must put on some thinking cap. They should have more strategies. More strategies.
Okay.
Yeah, keep it to their chest. And do you see when you are backing on a war, the strategies, they are more important than those in the war front. They are more important than those in the war front.
All right, so let's see how those strategies will be driven. But let's domesticate it a bit further. Edo State, all right? A time there was when Oshomole was the governor of Edo State between 2008 and I think 2016, yes. And then you had a man like Dan Obi. Yes, yeah. As the opposition. We appreciate your understanding. Again, we apologize for that glitch. But let's just begin to wrap things up real quick. So I was saying, Destiny, a while ago, that a time we had Comrade Adams Oshomole as governor of the state for 8 years. And Dan Obi, who then was the state chairman of the PDP, later to become the South-South leader of the PDP, is today regarded as the most effective, the most vociferous, the most, to use your word, fervent opposition leader that perhaps the South-South itself, not just Edo State, has ever produced since 1999 till date. Talk to us about how effective or otherwise opposition is today in Edo State now that you have Senator Monday Okpebholo as governor.
Yeah, I think, to be very sincere, you see, there are different ways,
All right, let's tie this up real quick now. So, I don't know, talk to us about how effective or otherwise opposition is in the state.
I'm happy that's equally your own state. And,
even though I've not been home for over 2 years.
Yes,
right.
You see, there are different ways of killing a rat. You can use the pointing, you can use that trap, those days when we were little kids,
all right,
to catch. So there are different ways of killing a rat.
So how's the opposition killing rats now?
Perfectly. It's doing well. The man is has some brain. It's not an agbero.
When you say the man, what are you referring to in this case?
That's the acting chairman of the PDP, as we speak very just.
Right. Still, Dr. Anthony Azegbemi.
So it's not an agbero. It's a refined man, schooled, facet of human endeavor.
So how
I'm not saying that OC Dan is an agbero. But your guess is as good as mine. So it's a refined man. So that's why I use the word. There are different ways, of cleaning it out.
Because I had to reference Chief Dan Obi, given that he was the #1 checkmate, so to speak.
But I'm happy.
So who's playing that role?
You see, I'm happy. You know. I'm happy. You're prominent. You're visible in Edo then. Of why we're in the civil society that when they abuse Oshomole in the open, in the night, they are one, hideout, big stouting and pepper souping. You heard it that time. They are talking about Dan when they abuse Oshomole in the open, in the marketplace. They will go to the lounge to pepper soup and big stouting. Yeah, even at the time there was some pictorial evidence to show. So for me, that's why I use the word that Dr. Anthony is a refined man, schooled.
He's not pepper souping too.
No, it's not a man that want to, I don't try to be very careful. But the man, if you ask me, although we've not attained that level of politinking, Obaseki brought in some, some politinking that is not, it's not for this era. It's not for this now. We've not attained that level. That's where he missed it. That's where he missed it.
So he moved ahead of his time.
Exactly. That's where he missed it. Like for instance, I was a council chairman. Let me quickly say this. We were given income and expenditure at every month end.
By the state government?
Yes, as council, we're given income and expenditure. Even why in the first 6 months, I used my Sienna that I used to campaign and my wife's Corolla as my official car. Even when we applied to buy Prado, he called us for a meeting. He said, "Look at the financial status of this state and the nation at large." As we speak very just now. So he talked to us to look at why we should not, have SUV, a Prado, because of the economic situation that was prevailing that time. So for us, we saw reason and we decided to jettison that quest to get a Prado. And in turn, for me, I went and I bought a utility Camry 2020, I think 2014. Belgium as official car. And when we were leaving, they did not allow us to go. Ordinarily, what is becoming a ritual, as the executive chairman is leaving, you go with the car, the official car. But he did not allow us to go with the official car.
So he retrieved those cars?
Definitely. So that's why I said, yeah, to some extent, he tried to take us to where we are not yet, So for me, that's why you must give it to him. But this one, that's why I said some of them refer to him as the next of kin. And I've explained. And from what is happening, there's a pointer indeed. He's truly a next of kin.
Interesting. But let's wrap it up now. Obviously, we have spotlighted Edo State. But let's use that as a basis to talk about subnational governance. Every time we talk about issues, things that are wrong with Nigeria, factors that need to be corrected, we always point to the federal government, to whoever is the president at that point in time. How much are the people, the citizens, Nigerians themselves, holding governors and state governments accountable?
Oh yeah, I'll be very blunt. Although I'm not a machine. I'm not a computer that garbage in, garbage out. It is straightforward. The boss stops at the president's table.
Why is that?
As we speak today, you and I know that we are not running a true presidential system. Even as I'm here before you, I don't know the system of government we are running. I'm as confused as my governor when he was doing, the other governor when he was presenting the budget.
But you called it
confusing me.
You called it democracy a while ago.
It's a democracy, but the system of government we are running.
It's not clear.
I'm confused. I'm a student of history. At least I have seen the 4 walls of the university. But I can't, whether it's quasi or it's presidential or it's, just call it. At least, you and I know that the United States of America is running through presidential system of government, where powers goes down, where you have the local government having their security, you having state, creating state police and what have you. But today, who's in charge of security in this country?
That conversation is ongoing. State police.
Yeah, it's ongoing.
Evolution of power.
Definitely, we need all of that.
Right.
So for me, I don't know. For instance, what's the federal government going to do with agriculture? Then what is the federal government doing with policing my village at Igobazowa? Every crime is local. Every.
The president has just told, President Bola Tinubu has just told his Brazilian counterpart, talking about Enabule that he would remove in his government all the obstacles in the area of agriculture. So don't you think that's a good start for whatever is well?
That he will remove
all the obstacles hindering agricultural development.
It's a mess saying. If I tell you that tomorrow I will get you a Cadillac, it's promising. But is it, do you know if I will do it?
because that's where our conversation this morning all started from. To understand really where all of this is heading, for many Nigerians, 2027 is a bit far flung. However, for politicians,
Very far.
it looks like it's
Very far.
tomorrow morning.
So that is why some of us are a little bit taken aback. And we've concluded that this photocopy government, that they are not sincere. But it was too early in the day to embark on campaign when the election is 2027. We don't know how many of us will see 2027. Do you know, I should speak very just now. Since this, insanity, when I say insanity, this campaign, governance is in comatose in this country. That's the reality. I know some persons will say, but that is the reality. So for me, it was too early in the day, just barely a year plus, started campaigning for 2027. That's to tell you that there's something is amiss. Something is amiss. So for us, as a well-meaning Nigerians, we must call a spade a spade. It's never a garden fork. That's why I keep on saying this anywhere I go, that any society that recompense defective deportment, fabricate a moral peril that will erode that humanity, that society. And I used the word earlier, I said it's not, that's exactly what we are facing in this country. When you have the least of us presiding over majority of us. You saw what happened not too long ago when, with humility to the senator, Oshomole. For me, where he schooled a whole professor in one of their interviews that they were screening for to be a member of INEC, commissioner, one of the INEC representing Rivers. He schooled that professor. You see, my grandmother again would say, if you decide to say this is your suit, it's nothing before you, they will use it to clean the floor. Permit me, our professors in this country, they have so led themselves to be bastardized and humiliated. If not for Tinubu, I must give it to him. Thumbs up. There are sensitive persons that by now that I see as God, as I see them as my God. But he has come up to see them, and they have fall as a pack of cards. You see, that's why they say that every society deserve the kind of leadership they want. Indeed, Tinubu is the leadership we want as of today. But the rest assured, it will not be the leadership we want tomorrow. Okay. I'm able to say. Look at what he's doing to our judiciary. Look at what he's doing to all the security formations. When the security formation leave the shore of this country, you hear the UN giving them brilliant performance. But here, they are incapacitated. Something is amiss. Something is amiss. You are not getting me. That's why I said that he has, I give it to him. He has so rubbish there. Look at our professors. Look at the one in INEC. That's a man that I so much respect. See, if you cannot stand for what you believe in, you are nothing. You must be known for something. Don't allow, it's even there in the Bible, that the love of money is likened to women. When a man loves, it's not something in the Bible. The rest is history.
All right, let's wrap it up from where we started. I mean, where we were going to end a while ago, Edo States, on a final note. When Obaseki was governor, especially within his first 4 years, he was vehemently accused, rightly or wrongly, of outsourcing all the projects to Lagos States. They said he would bring people from Lagos to do even things like a stool. I mean, that was how much he was accused at the time. Now, the coin has flipped. Today is a different governor from a different party who is there, and he's been accused of ethnic bias. There are those who say he only appoints people, for the most part, from Edo Central, which is his homeland of Asa land, and all of that. What exactly is wrong with the system of state governors?
Let me quickly say this. Let me start by saying this, that Okpewolo must, every morning, before he starts praying, must pray for Obaseki before praying for himself and praying for the government. You ask me why? Obaseki, if not Obaseki that initiated the Ishan agenda. Perhaps by now, you saw what happened with Oshomole. Oshomole has already nominated and blessed Edo South candidate in the person of
Dennis Idahosa.
Dennis Idahosa.
Who at the time was at the House of Representatives.
At the House of Rep, which was a Benin speaking from Edo South.
Today the deputy governor.
Today the deputy governor. So that's why I said, if he's wise and he's truthful to himself, before he starts any liberation, he must first of all pray for Obaseki. That's the gospel truth. Obaseki is a detribalized person. So the issue of them saying going to Lagos, yes, even some of us, yeah, we raised the issue. But again have a second thought.
But was that factual?
No, but again we have a second thought.
Was that factual?
I'm coming, I'm driving there.
Let's establish that.
No, it's not a garbage in, garbage out. I'm not a machine. We don't see there was, with some of us, we fought, we raised the concerns.
And criticized them.
No, not necessarily criticized. We raised the concern before him. Again, the persons that were brought in from Lagos, 99.9% they were an Edo indigene.
Based in Lagos.
Based in Lagos. Some of them here and there. And we now say because they are based in Lagos, they are no longer an Edo indigene. I said that's another question for another day. When some of us confronted him, he had the humility, despite he was a governor, to explain to us. At any rate, even there were some, even those residing, well-known politicians, and some of us that are good in some of the areas he want to engage them in. He engaged them. So for me, yes, politics. If a politician praise you to say, you're fantastic, you must go back home and go and look at what you are doing to yourself. I don't know if you are getting me. I use the word, I'm not talking about the electorate.
You mean a career politician?
There is a difference between the politician and the electorate. The politician, when they give you thumbs up, there's something you are doing to yourself unknowingly.
So you have to double check the
You have to double
commendation.
check.
Well,
the only good praises
yes.
is from the electorate. The people that are there in the street, the downtrodden, or perhaps what they would refer to as the talakawas.
All right. Destiny, I'd like to say a big thank you to you for coming.
Always my pleasure.
We find this very valuable this morning. I've been talking with Destiny Enabule. He's a member of the People's Democratic Party, former local government chairman, that is talking about Ovia Southwest local government. 6 months in the House of Assembly, where he also moved on to do half a year at the State House of Assembly until he was removed by the court. And then he's a very staunch supporter of former Governor Obaseki, and today he says he does not...
I'm a supporter of Aswe Limit.
Exactly, the man who is in contention with the Governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo. But he also says that, look, I'm not yet working for the coalition, but I believe in whatever it is they are pursuing, because according to him, by his own assessment, it means well for Nigeria. Well, we keep our fingers crossed and we continue to watch these events as they unfold. We'll take a quick break at this point. Coming up shortly is Social Buzz with Ogochukwu Mobuno. Stay tuned.